There's a trap that almost everyone falls into. And the most dangerous part is, it looks completely normal. A person thinks, just a little longer, just a little more patience, a little more work, a little more healing, a little more money, a little more progress. And then, finally, life will feel good. The problem is that a little longer never really ends. And slowly, life turns into constant waiting. Be honest, how many times have you told yourself, when this happens, then I'll relax. When I have enough money, then I'll feel better. When I lose weight, then I'll start living. When I meet the right person, then I'll be happy. When everything finally works out, then I'll enjoy life. And it sounds logical. But there's one problem. While your mind keeps waiting for happiness, it automatically makes the present moment feel insufficient. And this is dangerous, because a person stops seeing the life that is already happening. They are psychologically living somewhere in the future, in a moment that doesn't even exist yet. And this is where the important part begins. Waiting for happiness creates an inner belief. Right now is not enough. Not the right life, not the right version of me, not the right moment, not the right circumstances. And because of that, people stop truly being present in their own lives. They begin living as if everything now is only preparation, as if real life will begin later. But do you know what's truly scary? For many people, that later never arrives, because the habit of waiting becomes a way of thinking. Now let's go deeper. Why does the mind do this? First, because waiting creates the illusion of control. When someone says, "I'll be happy later," it feels safer because happiness becomes dependent on conditions, and the mind thinks, if I organize everything perfectly, then I'll finally feel peace. But the problem is, external conditions never become completely perfect. There is always something else, and happiness gets pushed further away again. Second, waiting for happiness helps people avoid the present, because the present is not always comfortable. There is uncertainty, fear, unresolved emotions, confusion. And for many people, it feels easier to live in hope for the future than to truly face themselves. Third, many people simply forgot how to feel life in the moment. They became so focused on goals that life itself stopped being felt. And you can clearly see this. A person achieves something important, but barely experiences it, because mentally, they're already chasing the next thing. Now let's make this practical. How do you get out of this trap? First, pay attention to the phrase, when. This phrase reveals everything, because that is the exact moment you are postponing life. Every time you catch yourself saying it, pause and ask, what stops me from living now? At least a little. Not perfectly, but genuinely. Second, stop treating happiness like a final destination. This is one of the biggest mistakes, because happiness is not a place you arrive at. It's a way of experiencing the journey. If a person cannot feel life now, they will not suddenly feel alive after reaching a goal. Third, bring your attention back to the present. This sounds simple, but it's incredibly powerful. When you eat, just eat. When you walk, just walk. When you talk to someone, actually be there. Most people are physically present, but mentally somewhere else. And because of that, life passes by unnoticed. Stop waiting for the perfect moment, because it does not exist. And honestly, that's not bad news. That's freedom. Life will always be a little messy, a little uncertain, a little imperfect. And that's what makes it real. Learn to notice what is already good, not abstractly. Specifically today, this conversation this evening, your body, the air this moment, because a mind that can notice life now stops living in constant emotional lack. Now let's go even deeper. Some people spend their entire lives preparing to live, and from the outside, they often look very successful, always improving themselves, always building something, always chasing the next level. But inside, life is barely felt, because psychologically, they are never truly here. And you know what's interesting? When a person stops waiting for happiness, at first something strange happens. It feels like the usual inner race disappears, and many people even feel empty for a while, because the mind became addicted to anticipation. But then, something else appears. Presence, realness, calmness. And suddenly, a person begins noticing that life was already happening, not after success. Now, and this is the most important part, you do not need to wait for permission to live. That moment has already arrived, and the sooner you realize that, the less life will pass you by. If something inside feels a little quieter right now, write in the comments, "I stop postponing life." That matters. You are choosing a new state, and make sure to subscribe, because we're going even deeper next into the invisible patterns that quietly control people's lives. And yes, watch this video again. Not as motivation, but as an honest conversation with yourself, because sometimes one thought is enough to bring a person back to life. And remember, happiness is not waiting for you in the future. It was only ever available, here in the present, because anything is possible.